Yo, future builders! Ever wonder how AI actually works behind the scenes? Like, what it really takes to build like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini? Here's the crazy part. AI isn't just tech anymore. It's the new gold rush. The global AI market already passed $200 billion in 2024 and is expected to skyrocket past $1.8 trillion by 2030. Every investor, tech giant, and government is racing for a piece of that trillion-dollar future. But here's what most people miss. Building AI isn't about one genius coder or one supercomputer. It's an entire ecosystem. 5 layers working together, from chips to data to capital. Miss one layer, and the whole thing collapses. All right, let's start at the very bottom, the hardware layer. The muscle that powers everything in AI. See, every AI model, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, is built on one thing: raw compute power. To train something like GPT-4, you don't just need a few computers. You need tens of thousands of GPUs running 24/7 for weeks straight. Each one of those GPUs costs tens of thousands of dollars and burns through a ridiculous amount of electricity. And leading this arms race? NVIDIA. Their A100 and H100 chips are basically the Ferraris of AI computing, engineered to handle the mind-bending math behind neural networks. But NVIDIA isn't alone in this fight. You've got Google with its custom TPUs, Amazon with its Trainium chips, and wild innovators like Cerebras, who are building wafer-scale processors the size of dinner plates. Literally one chip that can replace hundreds of GPUs. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. All this hardware needs a home. That's where massive data centers come in. Buildings the size of stadiums, packed with servers, fiber optic networks, and cooling systems, just to stop everything from melting down. These facilities consume megawatts of power, sometimes enough to run an entire town. But here's the real twist. Nearly all these advanced chips are designed in the US, yet manufactured in Taiwan by one company, TSMC. That means every frontier AI model, from OpenAI to Google, depends on a single global supply chain. So when the US restricted high-end chip exports to China, it wasn't just business, it was control. Because in this new world, whoever controls the chips controls intelligence itself. That's why we say, no chips, no compute, no AI. The hardware layer is the bedrock of the entire AI revolution. All right, listen up. Hardware might be the muscle of AI, but without data, it's just expensive metal sitting in a room. The real magic, the thing that makes AI intelligent, is data. It's the fuel that powers everything. AI learns by consuming data, and not just a few files here and there. We're talking billions of words, images, pieces of code, and videos. Basically, the entire internet turned into training material. Models like GPT-4 are trained on trillions of tokens scraped from across the web. Wikipedia articles, GitHub repositories, Reddit discussions, even entire libraries of books and scientific papers. But here's the catch. More data doesn't always mean better data. What really matters is quality and diversity. If your dataset is narrow or biased, your AI ends up dumb, narrow-minded, and biased too. That's why companies like OpenAI and Google didn't just scale servers. They scaled globally. They needed the freedom to pull from every corner of the internet, across languages, cultures, and ideas, to make their models truly understand the world. So yeah, GPUs might build the brain, but data builds the mind. Without it, all that hardware is just shiny metal waiting to be taught. You can have all the data in the world and the most powerful GPUs ever built, but without human talent, none of it matters. Zero. Because at the end of the day, it's not the machines building AI, it's the minds behind them. The real breakthroughs in AI come from rare humans, people who live at the intersection of mathematics, computer science, and engineering. The ones who can design algorithms, optimize neural networks, and make machines actually think. And this is exactly where the US and China dominate. They don't just have money or hardware, they've got talent ecosystems. Entire networks of elite researchers, engineers, and scientists working together at insane levels of scale. The US is home to some of the world's top AI minds, trained at Stanford, MIT, Berkeley, Carnegie Mellon, and they feed directly into powerhouse labs like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google DeepMind, US branch, and Meta AI. AI research at this level isn't something you do in your garage. It demands massive compute access, tight collaboration between huge teams, and years, sometimes decades, of consistent funding. That's why the AI race isn't just about who builds faster chips or collects more data. It's about who attracts, trains, and retains the world's smartest minds. In the AI revolution, talent is the ultimate currency. And that's exactly why only the US and China can build their own models from scratch. They've built the brainpower to match their compute power. You can have the smartest engineers, the best data, and a warehouse full of GPUs. But without money, none of it happens. AI isn't just science. It's capital warfare. And in this war, only two countries can afford the weapons: the United States and China. To train a frontier model like GPT-4, it can cost anywhere between $100 million and $500 million, just for a single training run. And that's before you count the data centers, cooling systems, and the hundreds of researchers working full-time behind the scenes. The US is leading the AI funding arms race. Microsoft invested $13 billion into OpenAI. Amazon threw in $4 billion for Anthropic. Google matched with $2 billion more just to stay in the game. We're talking nearly $20 billion pumped into two companies alone in less than 2 years. And that's just the start. US venture capital firms poured over $50 billion into AI startups in 2023 alone. Sequoia Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, and Founders Fund are writing multi-billion-dollar checks to whoever can build the next big model. Because in this ecosystem, compute is currency, and whoever spends more learns faster. China's not sitting back either. The Chinese government launched a $47 billion national AI fund, directly supporting companies like Baidu, Tencent, and Alibaba. These giants are spending billions each year to develop domestic AI chips, train language models like ERNIE and Yi, and reduce their dependency on US tech. When you add it all up, the AI ecosystem globally has attracted over $200 billion in private and government funding in just the last few years. That's more than most countries' GDP. And it's only going up, because every breakthrough demands even more compute, more data, and more brains. So yeah, the AI revolution runs on data and chips, but it's funded by trillions in ambition. And that's why only the US and China can truly build their own models from scratch. Because they're not just training AIs, they're buying the future. All right, listen up. The algorithm layer is the brain design of AI. It decides how a machine learns, what it understands, and how fast it improves. Think of it like the secret recipe that turns raw ingredients, data and compute, into intelligence. It started with simple neural networks. Then 2012's AlexNet sparked the deep learning revolution. But 2017 changed everything. A single paper, "Attention is All You Need," introduced transformers, the architecture that powers GPT, Claude, Gemini, basically every major AI model today. Transformers taught machines how to focus, making them thousands of times more efficient. That innovation turned AI from experimental to unstoppable. But these algorithms aren't plug and play. They come from years of deep research in math and machine learning, from places like OpenAI, DeepMind, and top Chinese labs. That's why the US and China lead. They invent the algorithms, not just use them. You can buy chips, you can scrape data, But the real magic, the algorithm, can only be discovered. And right now, only two nations have the talent, the funding, and the freedom to do it: the United States and China. So here's the big picture. The AI ecosystem runs on 5 unstoppable layers. The hardware layer is the muscle: NVIDIA's GPUs, supercomputers, and chips powering everything. The data layer is the fuel: trillions of words, images, and code teaching machines to think. The algorithm layer is the brain design: the secret recipes, like transformers and RLHF, that make AIs intelligent. The talent layer is the human spark: the rare minds from Stanford, MIT, and Beijing turning theory into reality. And the capital layer is the engine: billions in funding from Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and China's state programs, keeping it all alive. Put them together, and you get an AI ecosystem so massive, so interconnected, that only two nations can truly build it end to end: the United States and China. Everyone else? They're not building the system, they're renting it.